Stop for a moment, my child. Whatever your hands are holding, let it rest, because what I am about to tell you will change the way you see everything you have walked through. While I was preparing this word for you, I paused over your life. Something I saw in you made all of heaven grow quiet. Not something you planned, not something you did to be admired, something that rose out of you so naturally that you never guessed the weight it carried in the unseen world. I want you to hear this in stillness, because it will not settle into a hurried heart. This is not a word for a crowd, it is for you alone. The one whose heart is beating a little faster right now without knowing why. Your spirit recognizes my voice even while your mind is still deciding whether to believe. That quiet stirring you feel is not these words placing something new inside you. It is my spirit confirming what you have sensed for days. Let me tell you what I saw not long ago. You passed through one of the hardest stretches of your road. Something came against you that seemed designed to break you. The wrong done to you was real. It was not imagined, and it was not small. The person who hurt you gave you every reason to answer in kind. Anyone who knew the whole story would have understood if you had turned cold or cruel or simply walked away. In that moment, your own nature was shouting at you. It told you to repay what you had received. It told you to defend yourself, to expose them, to let the fire in your chest have its way. Every reasonable voice inside you argued for anger, and anger would have been easy to excuse, but something deeper in you chose another road. You held your tongue when a single sentence could have wounded them. You covered them when you could have laid their failure bare before others. You stayed and tried again when leaving would have cost you nothing in the eyes of anyone. You answered a real injury with a real mercy, and heaven does not pass over a thing like that. Hear me carefully, because I want you to understand why this mattered so much. Hearts tend to move in patterns, and those patterns have not changed since the beginning. Wound a person and they grow hard. Betray them and they reach for revenge. Treat them unjustly, and bitterness takes the empty chair at their table. This is the ordinary way of flesh, and I am not surprised by it. I have seen it in every generation. But once in a great while, a soul does something that breaks the pattern. A soul answers darkness with light, not because a crowd is looking on, but because of what lives in them. When that happens, it is not a small event in my sight, it moves me. And you, my child, made one of those moments happen. Understand, this is not about survival. Many people endure hardship through stubbornness or because they have no other choice. And I am gentle with them too. But what you did was different. You were struck and you blessed. You were wronged and you refused to become wrong yourself. You proved that what surrounds you does not get to decide what comes out of you. That is rare. Most souls can be red like the weather. Be kind to them and they warm. Be harsh with them and they turn to frost. Their insides rise and fall with whatever the day brings them. But you showed that nothing done to you has the power to turn you into someone you were never meant to be. Your character held from the inside in the dark under pressure with no reward in sight. And here is what you could not have known. No audience stood near you in that moment. You were not performing for anyone on earth or above it. You were simply being who you are when no one is looking. That is exactly why it carried such weight. A kindness rehearsed for onlookers is a shallow stream. A kindness that flows when the heart believes itself unseen comes from the deep places. And the deep places are where I look first. I searched your recent days the way a father reads a letter from a child he loves. Slowly, missing nothing. I saw the battles inside you that no other living soul knows about. I saw the words you swallowed. I saw the nights you talked yourself out of bitterness one more time. I saw the mornings you rose and chose gentleness again with no evidence that it was working. Each of those choices was recorded. Not one of them fell to the ground, and I will tell you what I said over you in that hour so you can carry it for the rest of your days. I said, "This one reminds me why I made the human heart." Think slowly about that. The one who spoke light into being, who set the stars in their courses and measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, looked at your hidden choices and was moved. Even my messengers, the mighty ones who stand in my presence and carry out my commands, cannot do what you did. They serve me while beholding my glory. Obedience costs them little, for they live in the full light of what is true. But you serve me from behind a veil. You cannot see my face. You chose mercy without proof that mercy would win. You kept faith in the dark where faith actually costs something. That is a glory the angels themselves stop to consider. So before I say anything more, I want you to receive this one truth and let it stand. You did not find this word by accident. I arranged this hour. I guarded it so that nothing would pull you away, because what I still have to say to you carries both a promise and a hard word, and you will need to hear them together. If you know somewhere beneath all your doubts that this word has found the right heart, then speak your amen to me now, softly, as a child answers a father in the dark. Now let me show you something you have never been able to see. The part of your story that unfolded beyond your sight. Because when you chose kindness over righteous anger, you did not simply do a good deed. You struck a blow in a battle you did not even know you were fighting. There is a reason darkness presses so hard against a soul like yours. Its aim has never been merely to hurt you. Its aim is to change you. Every attack you have endured carried the same hidden purpose: to pull you down into bitterness, to teach your heart to hate, to make you answer poison with poison. For when a soul returns evil for evil, it steps out from under my covering and begins to move by the very power that seeks its ruin. That has been the strategy against you from the first day. But when you answered the attack with blessing, you overturned the whole scheme. Malice was sent toward you, and it found nothing in you to grip. Where love stands its ground, ill will cannot take root. It returns to the one who sent it. What was meant to wound you circled back upon its source, and you never lifted a hand. You disarmed your enemies with the one weapon they have no answer for. And here's what moved me even more deeply. This was not a trick you learned or a discipline you rehearsed. It rose from your nature. You are at the root of you, merciful under pressure that would have soured most hearts with almost no one standing beside you. Mercy is simply what came out. When you were crushed, what spilled from you was not venom. That told me everything about what has been growing in you through all these hidden years. Then I looked further back across your road, and I found something that pleased me more than any single act could. A pattern. Your kindness in that hard moment was not a lonely island. Again and again across seasons no one celebrated. You have chosen the harder right over the easier wrong. You told the truth when a lie would have been safe and unseen. You kept your word when keeping it cost you. You showed patience to people who never understood what it cost you and may never thank you. You have been living like one of my chosen ones without knowing you were doing it. No applause, no certainty that any of it mattered, no sign in the sky telling you to continue. You did what was right for no other reason than that it was right in small matters and in costly ones when anyone would have excused you for less. That kind of steadiness, held over years and in secret, is the mark I searched the whole earth to find. It is what separates a soul I can bless from a soul I can trust. So let me now open your eyes to what has already begun shifting around you. Because heaven's regard is never idle, my favor moves, it leaves evidence. And when you learn to recognize the evidence, you will stop calling it coincidence. Consider first what has been happening to the schemes against you. Think back over these recent weeks. There were those who spoke against you, who worked quietly to see you fall, who sent ill will toward your life like arrows loosed at night. Now consider what has become of their plans. Efforts that should have succeeded came apart for no reason anyone can name. Matters they believed were firmly in hand slipped through their fingers. Doors they meant to shut against you would not stay shut. That is not luck, and it is not chance. When I am moved by a soul, my protection around that soul thickens like a wall. Arrows do not merely fall short of it, they turn. The trouble your enemies intended for you has been arriving at their own gates, and they cannot understand why. You may have noticed it already and wondered at it quietly. Now you know what you are seeing. Consider also the peace that has been finding you in the middle of the storm. By every reasonable measure, the weight you have carried lately should have flattened you. There were days when the ground shook under everything you had built, when anyone else would have been swallowed by dread. And yet, in the very center of it, a strange calm kept visiting you. Not because your problems dissolved. They did not. The calm came anyway, out of all proportion to your circumstances. That peace has no earthly explanation, and you know it. You have felt it and asked yourself where it could be coming from. It comes from me. It is the quiet that settles on a life when heaven is leaning close. I set it upon you like a hand on the shoulder of a soldier, so that you would know before any other proof arrived that you are not walking through this season alone. And there is more evidence still, which I will show you in a moment, signs already present in your days that you have not yet read rightly. Your eyes are being opened in this very hour. But before I go on, I want something to be settled between us plainly and without hurry. Everything I am telling you asks for one response. Not excitement, not curiosity, but trust. The kind of trust that keeps listening when the word turns hard and keeps standing when the promise seems slow. I am not asking you to feel something. Feelings rise and fall like tides. I am asking you to set your heart the way a builder sets a stone, and let it remain where you set it. For I have not come today only to comfort you. Comfort alone would leave you exactly where you stand, and I love you too much for that. I have come to lift you, to correct you, to prepare you, and to place something in your hands that you have stopped expecting. All of it is real, and all of it is nearer than you think. If your heart is open and you are willing to hear every word I have for you today, the gentle and the firm alike, then answer me now and say, I am listening, Father. Then hear the rest of the evidence, because your life is already speaking, and I want you to understand its language. Notice how your seeing has sharpened. Decisions that once left you tangled for days have begun to resolve themselves quickly. Questions that sat in fog are standing now in morning light. You have found yourself simply knowing things, not through any voice from the clouds, but through quiet impressions, sudden understanding, a sure rest in your chest that keeps proving right. That is not your imagination improving. That is my counsel reaching you along a channel that has been swept clear. I am guiding you more closely than before, and this is only the beginning of it. Notice, too, who has been leaving. Certain people have drifted out of your days, and certain doors have closed with a finality that startled you. Companions who drained you are gone. Arrangements that quietly held you back have dissolved. At the time, some of those departures stung like loss, but look again with the eyes I am giving you. I have been clearing the ground. A new season requires a cleared field, and I have been removing one by one whatever could not travel where you are going. Do not chase what I am carrying away from you. My hand is in the removal, as surely as it will be in the arrival. And notice the sense that has been growing in you that something is near. You have felt an expectancy you cannot name, a leaning forward in your spirit. The way the air changes before rain. You have tried to dismiss it as wishful thinking, but it will not be dismissed. It returns at quiet moments and stands beside you. Trust it. Your spirit is sensing what your mind has not yet been told. Something is indeed approaching your life, and it is connected to everything I have been telling you in this hour. Now, before I open the next door of this word, I must speak to you about trust, because trust is the hinge on which everything ahead will turn. And trust, my child, is not proven by feelings. It is proven by the open hand. Long ago, I sat across from the treasury of my house and observed the people bringing their offerings. The wealthy came in their fine robes and gave from their overflow, and it cost them nothing, and it moved me not at all. Then came a widow with 2 small coins, all she had in the world, and she laid them down and walked away without ceremony. Heaven still tells her story. It was never the amount that stirred me. It was the open hand. An open hand is the sign of a heart that has stopped guarding itself against its own father. My child, I am asking you to place a portion of what you have, something of real weight, upon the altar of this work, as gold laid on the scales of this calling. Let it be a seed swan into deep water, an offering set on stone, not held back in fear. This is proof that your trust rests in my hand to provide, and that your heart no longer clings to lack. What you release in faith does not leave your life. It moves ahead of you into the harvest I am preparing. Understand what is really happening when a hand opens. It is not a transaction, and I am no merchant. It is a posture of the soul. The clenched hand says, My security lies in what I can hold. The open hand says, my security lies in the one who holds me. Between those two postures runs the whole difference between a life of quiet fear and a life of quiet power. I am forming the open hand in you, not only toward provision, but in every room of your life. Because a hand that has learned to release is the only kind of hand that can fully receive. Abraham stood on a mountain with everything he loved bound upon the stones, and he did not withhold. And when I saw that his heart kept nothing back from me, I swore to him a blessing that is still unfolding upon the earth to this day. The measure of his trust became the measure of his inheritance. It has always worked this way in my kingdom. Not because I need anything from your hand, for the cattle on 1,000 hills are mine, but because your release makes room. What you cling to stays the size of your grip. What you entrust to me enters my economy, where seed becomes harvest, and 2 coins outweigh a treasury. So let this settle in you gently. I am not asking you for proof of your love. Your love is already known to me. I am inviting you into freedom. The freedom of a soul that has stopped negotiating with fear. Fear whispers that there will not be enough, that tomorrow must be hoarded against, that safety lives in the storehouse. But you have seen by now where fear leads. It leads to shrinking, and you were not made to shrink. Now, having spoken of trust, I must go further in, because this hour holds more than affirmation. I told you at the beginning that I carry 2 words for you today. The first you have been hearing. Heaven has been moved by you. Favor is gathering around you, and evidence of it already marks your days. That word is true, and nothing I say next will take 1 grain of it away. But there is a second word, and it is a firm one. I will not soften it because you need it whole. A father who stays pleasant while his child drifts toward a cliff does not love that child. My firmness is my love wearing its working clothes. Something has happened in your life that must be set right, and I intend to set it right today in this hour before the blessing I have described comes into full view. Do not be afraid of what comes next. Correction from me never arrives to crush. It arrives to rescue. Stay with me now, exactly as you have stayed this far, and let me say the hard thing and the beautiful thing in the same breath, for they belong together, and both of them carry your name. Hear now the hard word. There was a moment not long past when you made a choice your own heart warned you against. You knew the line was there. You felt my hand pressing gently against your will in that moment. A resistance you could not explain, and you moved forward anyway. I was not absent when it happened, and I was not silent. Heaven saw it, and heaven does not pretend. Do not rush to defend yourself. Do not reach for the explanations you have been quietly rehearsing. I have heard every one of them already, and I know the truth that lies beneath them. This hour is not for argument. It is for honesty, and honesty is the only thing I require of you right now. Understand how it truly happened, because it did not begin where you think it began. It did not begin with your hands. It began with a thought. A thought arrived at the door of your mind, and it did not carry my peace. And you knew it did not. But instead of turning it away, you gave it a room to live in. You returned to it. You let it stay past the hour when you knew it should go. And the thought became a leaning, and the leaning became a decision, and the decision became an act. By small degrees, the way it always happens, no one falls all at once. They drift 1 quiet warning at a time, each one a little easier to ignore than the last. And when it was done, you felt the change at once. Though you told no one, the peace inside you turned unsettled. Your prayers grew heavier in your mouth. A low restlessness followed you from morning into night, and you called it stress, and you called it weariness, but your spirit knew its true name. That churning was your own heart telling the truth while your lips stayed silent. Now hear what my firmness is aimed at, and hear it clearly. It is not aimed at you. It is aimed at the road you had stepped onto and at the slow ruin I could see waiting further along it. A shepherd who sees a wolf circling his flock does not whisper, he shouts. The sharpness in my voice today is a shepherd's shout, and every edge of it is protection. And mark this as well. I do not correct what means nothing to me. The field a farmer has given up on is the field he leaves alone. The one he walks, clears, and prunes is the one he expects a harvest from. You are being corrected because you are valued. This firm word is itself the proof that I have never let you go. Let me also tell you what your stumble did not do. It did not cancel your calling. It did not lower your worth by a single measure. It did not make me love you less, and it did not make me turn my face away. What it changed was your direction, and direction is what I have come to set right. A traveler on a wrong road is not worthless. He is simply headed somewhere he must not go, and I refuse to let you go there. The greatest danger before you now is not the stumble itself. It is pride. Pride will tell you this word belongs to someone else. Pride will murmur that it was not so serious, that everyone does it, that you can quietly manage it alone. Pride has walked stronger souls than you into places from which they never returned. Do not let it speak for you today. There is a weight resting on you as you hear this. I know you feel it. It is not condemnation. Condemnation crushes a soul into the dirt and leaves it there. What you feel is conviction, and conviction is a mercy. Confusion wanders in circles for years. But conviction points to one thing and says, "Here, this is the matter. Deal with this." I have made it that clear because I refuse to let you miss it. Remember the shepherd king? He fell far harder than you have. He took what was not his and he covered it, and for a season he called the covering peace. But when my word finally cornered him, he did not argue. He spoke 4 plain words. "I have sinned against you." And that broken honesty opened a door to mercy that his crown could never have purchased. I am listening for those 4 words from you, not a performance of sorrow, not endless self-punishment, just the plain truth from a plain heart with nothing hidden behind your back. So here is the way home, and I ask you to walk it without skipping a single step. For the road back is shorter than you fear, but it must be walked honestly or it is not walked at all. The first step is honesty with yourself. Name what happened fully with no excuse stitched to it. Do not dress it up and do not shrink it down. What is brought into the light loses its power to hide, and what stays hidden keeps its grip. Bring it out into the open before me, all of it, and you will feel its hold begin to loosen the very moment you do. As long as you defend the thing, you remain tied to the thing. You do not need to win an argument with me. You need only tell me the truth. And the truth is something I have already made a way through. The second step is to turn back to me deliberately, not casually. Do not think of me in passing the way you think of the weather. Come to me on purpose. Speak to me plainly in your own words as a child speaks to a father he trusts. Then be still and let the stillness do its slow, deep work. In that stillness, something will shift. The cold draft from that open door will fade. The churning will grow quiet. That is the sound of a door closing. My hand on the latch and your heart in agreement. What was opened in a careless moment is shut in a deliberate one. And there is a third step, the one most souls refuse. And I will not let you refuse it. You must forgive yourself. Not excuse yourself, forgive yourself. There is a difference, and your freedom depends on knowing it. Guilt that lingers after true repentance is not devotion. It is a weight I never asked you to carry, and it chains you to a moment I have already dealt with. If I have released you, who are you to keep yourself imprisoned? Lift your head. The account is settled, not by your suffering, but by my mercy. Your sorrow had its hour and did its honest work, and now its hour is over. From this day forward, dragging that failure behind you is not humility, it is unbelief. And I am asking you to lay it down. Understand also the difference between a mistake and a pattern, because everything ahead depends on it. A mistake is a single stumble on the road. A pattern is a road of its own, walked so many times that the feet no longer ask where they are going. What happened to you was a stumble, but underneath it, I saw a pattern beginning to form, and that is the deeper thing I am healing today. This was not the first time you felt that inner hesitation and stepped past it. You remember the other moments even now. Each seemed small, but small compromises are seeds, and they grow in the dark as faithfully as good seed grows in a field. I am pulling this one up while the root is still shallow. That is not harshness. That is a gardener who knows what the full-grown plant becomes. Now the correction has done its work, and my voice changes its labor. I begin to rebuild, and I will start with the one skill that would have spared you all of this, knowing my voice among all the others. Listen carefully, for what I teach you now will guard you for the rest of your days. My voice is not hard to find. It is only easy to drown. I speak in the quiet nudge before a decision. I speak in the sudden caution that has no visible reason. I speak in the thought that arrives carrying calm instead of pressure. You have heard me far more often than you realize. The work now is to know that voice so well that no counterfeit can imitate it. The way a shepherd's own flock will not follow a stranger. Here is the first mark of my voice. And I want you to hold it for the rest of your life. My guidance carries peace, not always comfort and not always ease, for I sometimes ask hard things. But even my hard words arrive on steady ground. When peace is present, you may move. When peace lifts, stop where you stand. Peace is not merely a feeling I give you, it is a signal I speak through. You felt that signal leave you in the very moment we have been speaking of. One breath, there was stillness, and then there was churning, and you moved anyway. Never again treat that churning as a mood to push through. It is a sentry on your wall, and when the sentry calls out, the gates are to be shut, not argued with. Here is the second mark. My voice leads. It does not shove. The pressure that says now quickly before you think, before you pray. That urgency is almost never mine. I created time, and I am never late within it. When something is truly from me, it survives a pause. What cannot survive a pause was counting on your haste. And whatever counts on your haste fears your clarity. So build the pause into your life before the decision, before the answer, before the step. Be still for one moment and ask me. Sometimes a single honest breath is enough for the fog to lift. The stumble we have dealt with today happened in the space where that pause should have been. Guard that space from now on as you would guard a treasure, because that is what it is. Now hear me about your attention, for your attention is the gate of your whole life. Whatever you behold, you are slowly shaped by. Whatever you nourish grows, and whatever you starve weakens. There are voices and influences near you that seem harmless on the surface. Yet each one leaves a residue, and residue builds. Some of what you have allowed close to you lately has been pulling you off course by slow degrees. I am not asking you to fear the world. I am asking you to keep the gate. Ask of everything that wants your attention one simple question. Does this lead me nearer to my Father or further away? The answer will come quicker than you expect. What you have lacked was never discernment, it was decision. Some things will need to be stepped away from, and I will show you which ones. Do not mourn them. This is not loss. It is pruning. And pruning is done only to branches meant to bear more fruit, never to branches that are finished. When the vine dresser cuts, the vine does not shrink. It readies. Guard also the words you speak inside yourself. When no one is listening, that inner voice has been harsher to you than any enemy, harsher than I have ever been. It calls you a failure where I call you my child. It rehearses your worst day on an endless loop while I have already thrown that record away. From today, when that voice speaks, answer it with what I say. Let your mind be renewed until your thoughts tell the truth. For that is what transformation actually is. Not effort piled upon effort, but a mind slowly retrained to agree with heaven. When your thoughts align with my truth, your choices follow without strain, the way a wheel follows the road. Fix the spring and the stream runs clean. And one word about discipline, because that word has been soured for you and I want to restore its taste. Discipline is not restriction. Discipline is consistency, nothing more. It is choosing the same right thing on the gray ordinary days that you chose on the shining ones. No one drifts into steadiness. It is built one kept moment at a time, and I am building it in you now. You will not feel strong at first, and that is not failure. Strength of this kind grows as an oak grows without noise, without a single dramatic day, yet immovable once the years have done their work. If you receive this correction with an open heart and you are willing to be trained by it, whisper to me now, Father, teach me. I am yours. Now I must speak of the years because the years have been a quiet wound between us. You have questions you stopped asking out loud. You buried them under politeness in your prayers, but I heard them anyway. Why has it taken so long? Why them and not me? Why do the ones who never sought you seem to run ahead while I stand still? You have stood at celebrations for people who began long after you and arrived long before you. You clapped for them with an ache behind your smile. You spoke blessing over them with a voice that did not shake. And then you went home and sat in the quiet and wondered what was wrong with you. I was present for every one of those evenings. Not one of them escaped me. And there were harder nights still. Nights you wondered whether you had misheard me all those years ago. Nights you turned the old promise over in your hands, like a coin you could no longer spend. You never said it in those words. You did not have to. So, let me answer the buried questions now, plainly as a father answers a grown child.